Okay. Let me make sure that it is muted so I don't hear feedback. And it says that we're streaming. Let me hit OK. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, muted. There we go. Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. I want to first and foremost welcome everybody that's watching this on YouTube. So if you are watching this on YouTube, hello and welcome to the Impeccable Impact and Mentorship community. Today is Monday, April 15th, and on Monday evenings, we meet for our weekly focus session. So we have some of our ladies live with us. Some join via the replay later, but today, those of you on YouTube get a sneak peek on what we do on Monday evenings. So just stick around, just watch, and be sure that if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat or the comments, and at some other point in the very near future, I'll make sure to answer your questions as well. But you'll get to see what we do in this community of kingdom focused women. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And ladies, we're gonna go ahead. I'll pray us in, and then we'll get started this evening. Thanks for joining, Coach T. We'll go ahead and get started. So Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. I thank you for this opportunity, God, for us to gather this evening. I thank you, Lord, for the mighty work that you're doing in your daughters. And God, we just lift you up and honor you, even in how we explore how you can use us as women, as mothers, wives. And for those of us that aren't even married right now, I don't mean it like that, but those of us that aren't married, God, I thank you for how you're using us in our endeavors and ministries and all the different areas of influence and impact. God, have your way. Speak through all of us tonight. Speak to all of us tonight. And just be glorified in this next hour or so. God, we love you. We praise you. We honor you. In Jesus' name, amen. Iman. All right. Hey there. So let me say hi to everybody that's joined. We have Coach Stacy, Coach Kim, Coach Louita, but Janelle, Coach T. Hello there, Coach Ruby. Good to see you, Coach T. LaShawn, Coach Clemutra, and Coach Letty. Coach Letty, so glad to have you here this evening. Look at all the hand claps. So glad to have you. Oh, and the hearts. Yay, and the claps. All right. So I know last week we ran very long, but that's because we did the hot seat coaching and God was just really moving. And so it's never my intent to squelch or quench what he is doing. So of course we're making space for him, of course, this evening as well. But we're going to continue on. Now, several weeks back, we talked about our pitch, okay, and what that looks like and how we come across to others as we talk about our business in the different spaces. And last week, I shared with you that sometimes it will change and we have to shift how we present depending on the audience. But to have absolute clarity on who we're talking to, what we're talking about, and how that looks is key. And so, for those of you that did not catch were not with us last week, please be sure to go back to last week's focus session and you can catch up. But just to give a very quick and brief, when I say quick and brief, I mean quick and brief overview. I'm going to give that and then I'm going to pause. I would just want to see and hear how you all are doing for the week, and then we're going to continue on. So last week we talked about being very, very clear on our why down to the very, very finite details. And I explained to you all how a series of questioning for me and different elements in my business helped me or had me talk about details in a way that opened up doorways of opportunity. Just because I shared with them details that I hadn't even thought about or visited in 10 plus years. So that was a wonderful opportunity for me. But we talked about our why in great detail. Also, be clear to say what you are doing today. And if what you are doing today is blowing your mind, is having you in this humble place, is having you in this I'm listening to God place, that's okay. But be able to articulate what that looks like to you, to your audience. And your audience isn't necessarily in the business space, because I know some of us are not necessarily operating business right now per se. We are operating in our endeavors. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like that. So what we are doing today, the next thing is, I'm sorry if you guys can hear the dinging. I still haven't turned off the do not disturb on my laptop. um, and then the next thing when it comes to that is our vision. So where are we going? So with our audience, where are we taking them? What does that look like? Where do we see this going? What has God shared to us about where this is going? Okay, so we talked about that last week. And then we also talked about when it comes to your client, knowing where they are, knowing if they're just starting out, knowing if they are in this place where now they need the how to's, the actual strategy, or if you are in this mode of discipleship. We have some people in this community, that's what they do. They send people off and they disciple them and, send them on their way to go out and be great. So identifying where your client or your audience is so that you can use the language that really speaks to them in however you show up, either in person, networking events, face to face, or online. Alrighty. Then I shared that many of us have information based businesses. Many of us have community based businesses. Some of us have strategy based businesses, and some of us have product based businesses. Some of us have a combination of them all. So, knowing the type of business you have will help you determine how you show up and help you determine where your audience is so that it helps you determine the type of language and marketing you need. Okay, so that's what we talked about last week. And again, if you were not with us last week, be sure to go into the community under the Focus Sessions tab, and you will see that it is dated. It was very, very powerful. It was also long. And I kind of want to apologize, but not really, because I feel that it was very rich. And I got a lot of feedback that many of you were like, look, I grabbed that for myself. I can see how that applies to myself. And so take the opportunity to let what God said last week soak in, even if I was speaking to somebody else. Let him work in you and use what he said through me to help you see some things about, like I said, the endeavor. I'm just gonna call it the endeavor. Okay. All right, so let me pause. I know we've got several people on, and that's okay. I want to see how the week went, how people are doing. I want to hear some praise reports. If there's anything anybody would like to share, celebrate, or to have us stand in agreement with and support you with. Now, again, we are on YouTube, and I don't want you to. I don't want you to fear sharing. If it's something very, very personal, of course, we can do that at some other point. But business wise, endeavor wise, life wise, what are we celebrating? And okay, I see Coach T has her hand up and she is ready to go. All right, Coach T, the floor is yours.
I always got my hand up, right? Anyway, so good to see everybody, especially my coach Lottie. How you doing, sweetheart? I'm so happy to see you here. It's such a blessing to add her to our sisterhood in this circle. Well, she our sister anyway, but in this circle, it's really going to be awesome. A couple of things. Many of you know that I've been marketing my Shift Your Sugar Challenge for this week, and I have made a decision as of Sunday. The doors were closed, and I talked to God about it. I said, every way it's going to go is going to be your will. So I didn't have anybody sign up, which I was totally fine with. And he told me this morning just to record the recordings and put it on my website, and people can get the resource that way. He didn't tell me whether or not to charge it, but I'll just leave it as a resource. Okay, so I'm recording today. I'm all excited. I'm recording everything. Also, I see my email. Somebody signs up, and I'm going, okay, what do I do next? So Coach Kelly helped me with that, and I tell you, God is funny. Anyway, so that was one thing, and then as some of you know, we had hot seat coaching. Together, it was on me. As a result of that hot seat coaching, I was able to get a hold of my doctor, and we have a one-on-one on Wednesday. And we are definitely moving forward with her collaborating with me in terms of books for her patients, in terms of introduction to other members of her illustrious colleagues, and some potential for me to speak at some events that she might be aware of. So I'm excited about that. Then I got a text this week, which she just confirmed today with the email, that I'll be speaking next week, Thursday, in a local artsy, it's an artsy gallery, but she's doing health and wellness, and she wants me to come in, amongst some other people to speak 5 to 7 minutes to that community. So I'm going to have my books with me. So I'm excited with the things that are happening. I just feel that God has opened a door for opportunities for me to go to. So I have to continue to think and dream bigger so that I can move into steps that He wants me to go. So that's what I wanted to share.
Yay, praise God and amen. And yes, God is funny. And I love that now you have this meeting with your doctor. And I'm glad that the hot seat coaching was effective. And now you can see more possibilities for things that you're able to achieve in your business and through telling your story. So thank you so much, Coach T. Congratulations. All righty, who's next? If there's a next, anybody want to celebrate something? Okay, go ahead, Coach Louita.
Hey everybody. So we celebrated we just had our second Saturday. First Saturday was kind of slow because it was cold outside. And so second Saturday we sold out. So we're super excited about that. We kind of get in the system because I'm all about systems. So I really can't really work just winging it. So we got a system now. So we're prepping on Fridays and then juicing on Saturdays right before and then going straight to the farmer's market. So that's working. We're finding ways to, I was able to print out all the benefits of each juice. So when people sample it, I would kind of place the samples on the benefits of it so people can see the benefits. It kind of helps because I actually had to work it Saturday by myself because my son had his last soccer game. So I worked it by myself with the boot. But your girl got that sales experience. So, and then I forgot my tab at home. So I'm manually entering cards. Don't worry about it, guy, I got it. So I'm sitting and I'm manually entering cards. People in line, I'm like, would you like a sample? I did it for the companies. I could do it for myself. So, but we're seeing ways and constantly looking and what's wrong? Did you say something, Kelly? Oh. So we're seeing ways and constantly looking at ways to improve, and things that, that could have been better or we could have did this better, Also, I thought about it and I've been very cautious because I did speak with Kelly about this, about putting God and asking God about things that's pertaining to the business, like not just doing stuff. And so I asked God, could I do smoothie bowls? Because I sit like in between two unhealthy people. So one person makes crepes like with peanut butter and all kinds of stuff. The other person sells all these treats. And I'm in the middle and I'm healthy. But what I observed is they walk away with things and the customers are walking around the market with their items and possibly eating them. So yes, we have juice and we love the juice, but what's healthy that we can provide that people can have a walk around? So a smoothie bowl. So I was like, I talked to my best friend about it, talked to my husband about it, and it's like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then I was like, you know what, but I need to talk to God about it. So I said, God, can I do smoothie bowls? So I'm like, yeah, I haven't heard from God. So I talked to the director and she was like, oh, well, I wish I had known you wanted to do that because I would have had you to fill out for a different permit because you just have a vendor's permit. You actually need a permit as operating as a food establishment. And I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna call Monica on Monday and find out what I need to do. She was like, well, maybe she'll make you pay 25 or you'll have to pay the whole 75 because you basically, starting the process over. So I'm like, okay, I'm cool. That's fine. So I'm home and just getting stuff together. We come home from the farmer's market and hubby comes in and he grabs some mail. He's like, what is this from the health department for you? And he's like opening it. Y'all, why was it that permit? It's the operating. So that was God saying, absolutely, you can sell the smoothie bowls. Not only did he say yes, but he gave me the permit that I needed. I haven't done anything to get that permit. It was literally God. And so we're right now, because we sold out and people kept coming asking for the specific juice, I'm going to wait to possibly middle of May before we do the smoothie bowls, because we want to make sure that we get the juice. We've satisfied that because people are wanting that kale juice so much. This area where I'm at, they love the kale juice. It's not my favorite, y'all. It's not that it's bad. It's just not my favorite. And so people really like it. So I need to get that demand taken care of before I add something else. But God has just really been sovereign, really showing up. Like I had my a book club member came and visited me. I had my best friend came, my children's teacher came, like people came to visit, came out and really supported and bought. It was just, I don't know, it's just really uplifting. The foot is in place so that I can slow down. So I have to depend on God. So that's why the foot happened literally a week before the farmer's market. So I have not done the farmer's market without the foot being like this. So I can't get frustrated with it, but I'm thankful for it because the Bible defines either wicked or righteous. He does not correct the wicked. So I know where I'm supposed to be, but I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, and I was being disobedient. He was telling me not to do something. I was like, but it's good for me. And as Coach Chanel said, but it was not God for me. So that's why I have the boot. I wear the boot, and every time somebody asks me, what happened? Being disobedient to God, that's my response. And if people want me to elaborate, I elaborate. But other than that, it's all good. Like, I'm very thankful, and I appreciate everybody's support.
Amen. So excited and love that everything is getting in place now so that you can walk in absolute obedience. I love it, and just love what God is doing. And I saw that you started your Instagram for the business. And for those of you who do not know, she does not like social media and does not do social media, but she's got the business up on Instagram now. So congratulations to you on that. All righty. Is there anyone else that would like to share how things are going? How things have been? Go ahead, Coach Letty.
Hey, my amazing, beautiful sisters. I missed y'all so much. I'm so glad to be with y'all this evening. So God is so amazing, y'all. He has just been just doing so much in my life since I've been in this transition, bodacious faith adventure with him in Dallas, Texas. And so I have gotten an expanded assignment in mentoring some young adults. And that is just really blowing my mind, But also, God had me to open up my workshops again for my women. And I did. And interestingly enough, I had 2 people sign up for it last week, which I was like, okay, come on, Lord. I was doing a little bit more than what I had been doing since being in a transition. But what was really interesting is a woman had messaged me on LinkedIn. Now, Coach Kelly did a class on LinkedIn, y'all. That thing was so good. And so I've been really engaging on LinkedIn. And so a woman, she reached out to me and she's like, hey, I want to book an appointment with you, but your calendar is booked. Now, mind y'all, I was like, my calendar is booked. Well, let me go check my calendar. And so I didn't realize that last year I opened it up to the beginning of January, but in January, I forgot to go to look to make sure I open it up for the rest of the year. So I'm like, oh my God, thank you that somebody actually went to my calendar. But I go open it up the days before I can even message her back. She had already scheduled an appointment. I said, well, okay, Jesus. Like this was like just so amazing. But it just really allowed me to see too that, you know, people are watching, even though we may not get a lot of the responses and things that we would normally would like to see. It allowed me to see, especially on LinkedIn, like there are people who are requesting and, you know, wanting to connect and just reaching out to just have coffee chats and or tea chats for me because I don't do coffee. But it was just, you know, I was like, wow, Lord, thank you. He's like, just keep showing up, just keep, you know, just keep moving, just keep being obedient, like Coach Louie, like be obedient. That's one thing that I've recognized in this journey, that my obedience in just moving in a direction that God is calling me to move in has definitely is yielding great rewards, and there are even more to come. So, you know, just keep moving, guys. Just be encouraged to just keep following the direction that God is leading you in, and know above all, he's watching, right? So that's the great audience to have when he's watching and he's able to smile on you because you are moving forward in what he assigned you or instructed you to do. So thank y'all for letting me share.
Yay, congratulations. You have people coming to your workshops and making appointments, and your sermon this evening. Absolutely. Thank you, because people are watching us, and they are so very encouraged by what we do, what we say, and who we show up as. And so, in one of the Waymaker versions, not the original, I think it's Michael W. Smith that has a part in the song where he says, "Even when it doesn't feel like it's working," something like that. Even when you can't see that it's working, it never stops. It never stops working. And so God is moving, even if we don't see it. God is moving, even if it doesn't feel like it. He is working things out and shifting things and moving things, so that his name could be made great. So, Coach Letty, thank you so much for that encouragement. And you're absolutely right. All right. Anybody else want to share anything? Go ahead, Coach Kim.
All right. Wow. Let's see. I hope you can hear me okay. Since last week, one thing you had mentioned about photo shoots, about that particular company. So I did, I do know how to follow directions. Let me throw that in there. I'm better at some than others. That's what I would say. But I did a photo shoot on Friday morning. I did a photo shoot because I got a request to do an article in the digital magazine on finances, and they said they some professional photos. I said, okay, it's gonna come out in July, so I want it to be fun. So I got to put a dress on and not be all, no offense, not stuffy, and a suit jacket, and I got to have some fun until I said, okay, that's enough. Can we just be done? Listen, I am not a model, okay? I'm just saying. However, I did take that advice, and I did do that. I had some victories. I'm being careful with my words. I got a royalty check. Hey, I got it from my Always Mom book, and I'm like, okay. So I was excited about that, and even on because that was published by another company in one of my self-published books. I was like, oh, okay, I see somebody, my newest one, that was purchased. And when I travel, I was out this weekend. I travel with my books. They're in my purse, okay? So you just never know when somebody needs what you have. And, it might be a book for me and it might be something else. But just to be available, when I wrote this book and it was published in July, some people that you thought, how you think, well, I know they're going to buy this, and they didn't. However, now they're coming to me, oh, I need your book because I know somebody you know, and so it's unfortunate how they, they need it because it's due to a loss of a child. But that is yeah, that was, I'm gonna call that my win. I'm still one thing with me merging, rebranding me, that right there that's a whole thing right there. And I'm like, well, what do I call myself? Technically, I'm not just a Kingdom financial coach. And that I know not in this session probably, but I need y'all help with that. So if y'all hear anything, I'm putting it out there because, yeah, I know you're some hearing people. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. And congratulations on the fun photo shoot. Can't wait for this digital article to come out. Please be sure to let us know so we can celebrate and share it with you. And I do want to say, okay, so this is a great coaching moment. So one of the things that we often do when we talk about our businesses is we come with, oh, okay, what's your name? And tell us who you are. And one of the first things everyone's like is, I am a da 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 coach, or I am a da 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 strategist, or I am a blah, 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 blah. Versus one of the things that I think really helps build trust. This is something that I've been trying to do much more, is not talk about what I call myself, but who it is I serve. And so my name is Kelly Williams, and I'm a part of a community of women where we just come together and talk about lifestyle management issues, business, ministry, things like that. And so they become more interested in who it is I serve versus the title. So just a suggestion. And I only say that to say, don't get so hung up on what you've got to call yourself, because I'm going to tell you, I don't know, like, I don't believe that people really care. Like, I say this respectfully, but I don't think they really care, because on my social media handles, like, I am forever like twice a week changing headlines and changing things. This week, I'm a speaker, author, coach. This week, I'm a mentor, mother, ministry worker. Like, nobody cares. Like, they don't care. Like, it don't stop them from saying what they say in the comments. So I think that give me one quick second. I think that what you said, you can stay off mute. What you said is going to be very good for what we're going to be talking about tonight. And you will see exactly what I'm saying. Okay, go right ahead.
I'm just gonna, and I will just want to say right now what I have on there. I am just a mom. that's what I. That's what I felt led to put on there a couple of weeks ago, and that's who I am. So I just want to share that. But I'm my ears up. I'm very interested to hear where this conversation is going to go tonight.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
you're welcome. And I'm just like having one of these prophetic pause moments. I don't believe God wants us to be so concerned with what we should call ourselves because of what we do. I think that identity piece comes in who we are, and who we are sometimes will shift. Much like earlier when I was saying like how we present. And I'm not saying that at the core our identity is not going to shift, but in that moment, who we are is going to shift. And it's okay to go with that flow. We are doing business differently. We're doing our endeavors differently. We're living life differently. Doing things that other people haven't done, and definitely not the way the world does it. So, yeah. But very excited for you, Coach Kim. Thank you so much for sharing. I see that Coach Kenya, who looks like she's been out in the sun all day with the big windows behind her. Oh, I love it. I see you guys in the chat. I'm not going to speak that out loud for YouTube, but it's private. You got to be in the community to know what's happening in our Zoom chat. Okay, so I wanted to share very quickly something about something I'm very excited about, and then we're talking about what we're talking about tonight. So, we've got this mentorship community, and it is I love our group. Let me just say, I love it. But some really fun things are coming down the pike. Like next year, we're going to be having our retreat in Destin, Florida. Y'all, we going to Florida, okay? Okay, well, I know some of you are already in Florida, okay? I already know that. But for those of us that live up north, listen, we are coming to Florida, okay? So that's going to be next year. But more exciting than that is something that I'm going to be doing. I have a push to grow our membership, and what I'm doing is putting me back in like not launch mode. I don't want to call it launch mode, but campaign mode. So I'm closing the doors of the membership as we've talked about. The doors of the membership are going to be closing on May 31st until the end of this year. So as much as we talk about the group, as much as we talk about what we do and what type of community we are, people that hear about us and want to join us are going to have to wait until the end of next year. So I am back in the saddle with all the things leading up to marketing the fact that we are closing. So I've got a 3-day Kingdom Impact Incubator coming up. Kingdom Impact Incubator for Women. It's going to be a 3-day event, just 1 hour a day or 2 hours if people want to get in on the VIP. And I'm going to share with you all what the VIP is the VIP is the Q&A and kind of like a war room, like hot seat coaching. If the Lord gives me something for somebody in their business, that's the time I will do that. That will be recorded and that will be for them. Everybody's going to get the replay. So anybody that signs up gets the replay, period. I know, because things are shifting in business, I've noticed, and no longer can we be like, okay, well, you only get the replay if you pay for the VIP at $99. Yeah, things have shifted. So I'm cool with that. But those that sign up for VIP, they get access to personal Q&A, and y'all know how I flow. And so that's what that VIP session is going to be about. And that one is immediately following. So it's only 3 days, but all the things gearing up to getting people to join that. And so I'm going to be going live. I'm going to be doing my LinkedIn audio spaces. I'm going to be going, listen, when was the last time I went live on Instagram? So I'm coming back to Instagram. Let me tell you what else I've done. Oh, it starts tomorrow. And I struggle with this, but he was like, do it. So I do stream live into Facebook, the Tuesday and Thursday prayer, but everything will be streamed into my personal feed on Facebook. Now I'm taking a long, deep breath because now I don't know. We haven't talked about if I need to go in and answer, reply to stuff. That part we haven't talked about, but he was like, nope, do it on your personal feed. So I'm kind of gearing up for this campaign, which is something I haven't done in a couple of years. Like big campaigns. So that's what God is doing through me, and I'm excited about that on the back end. And you guys know how I am. I'm very grand with how things go. So I'm doing something that I've never done before. And we'll see how it turns out. But whoever is in the group come June 1st, that's it. That's who's in until the next time we open up doors, because it's a lot of pressure to be like, hey, join my community. Come on, join the community. Hey, come on, we got a community. So I would be like, you know what? If you're not in, you got to wait. And then that way I can focus on other things. Because when I tell you there are lots of other things to focus, God is doing a lot of things here in the Williams household, with a husband and wife, entrepreneur duo, the ideas never stop. So that's what we got going on in our household. Okay. All righty. What are you guys seeing in the chat? She's having trouble getting in. I don't know what to tell her. Does anybody have her direct number? Can you send her a text message with the link to this? Okay, thank you. Because I can't do it now while I'm doing all the middle of this. Nothing's changed. It's the same. Did anybody else have any problems getting in? No, it's the same number. Okay. Yeah, nothing's changed. Nothing is new. It's the same one that we've been using for the last couple years. Okay. Okay, so today we're continuing on with our kind of endeavor or business training, if you will. Let me go to my notes. Okay, so again, last week we talked about your why and all the details, and we talked about knowing who your audience is. But now I want to talk about the language that we use. And next week we should be able to move on to really identifying what a good pitch looks like. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll give you guys a scenario, and I want to hear who you are and how you serve based on the scenario I give you. Okay. Okay. Give me 1 second here. Alrighty. And again, for those of you that are on YouTube and you're getting a sneak peek into our community, this is what we do and how we show up. So I want to say thank you for joining, and be sure to drop your questions. And if you aren't joining live, no problem. Still leave a question and I will try to answer you ASAP. Okay. Alrighty. So let's talk about messaging. Alrighty. So one thing I want to say is that it is undeniable that a lot of people are not willing to do what is undesirable so that they can get the results that they really want. They're not willing to put in the necessary work. They're not willing to make the effort so that they can get their desired results. There are people all over the place that want, but they are not willing to do the work. But we are not like that. We are not like that. When we know better, we do better. So I just want to reiterate that, people that we come in contact with, they want to be seen, they want to be valued, they want to know that they're heard, and that they're that what they have, what they're dealing with, what it matters to them, and that their concerns are our concerns as a service provider or as somebody who's serving in ministry and wants to help, okay, and help support. So our messaging matters. One of the other things that I was listening to some stuff, let's just say over the last few weeks, and I'm like, man, a lot of people, and on LinkedIn, I see this a lot too, with a lot of newer people who are trying to grow their account. It's oftentimes about, well, you need this, and I'm the person for it, and I can do this, and this is what you need, and you're tired of this, and I, and our marketing is very me focused, very self-centered marketing. So when I started to shift my language, and I'm going to share with you how that looks, I noticed like quite a difference. Not only was there more engagement on my social media posts, and I'm just using social media for the example. I think you all can see how this can be transferred into other areas. But I noticed not only was the engagement different, but the amount of messages I got like exploded. Like, sometimes I cringe going into my LinkedIn and Instagram because people are like, oh my goodness, this really hit me. And people that have my personal phone number also text me, oh, what you said, it really, resonated with me and all of this. So let me share with you all what I did differently. And I'm also thinking about my my secrets of success, that lifestyle management matrix that I talked to you all about, our content, the community, the conversions, like all of this is like, it's like a nice like cocoon for me. But what I started to do with my language was I started to really put myself in their shoes. What are you feeling right now? And use that type of language. So let's talk about this. So the person that you might be ministering to, the person that you might be marketing to, the person that you might be trying to, I don't say draw as a client or a customer or get in your space, that person likely, the reason why you have a desire to connect with them is because there's something about them that is familiar. There's an element of what you see them either suffering with or going through that you're like, dang, I was there. I remember that. So that's what I want you all to do. I want you to go back to that place where you were. And so the person that you're talking to is very much like yourself in most cases. Okay, in most cases. So think about these things. Now, I got this from who did I get this from? Stu McLaren. I got this from Stu McLaren quite some time ago. He said he did it and it was right on time for me because I've been doing it, but he gave me a visual. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a visual. Get a blank sheet of paper or turn the page to whatever you're writing on, and I want you to make a big T on your paper. Okay, you're gonna make a big T. So as he was going through this exercise, I was like, oh my goodness, this is exactly like he put the structure to what I was doing. I kind of just went in, but he was like, this is how we do it. And I was like, yes, this works. And so he has been the one actually to help me to communicate this to you all in a way that's effective. Okay, so I'm giving him the credit. All right, so the top of the page, you made the T. On one side, you're gonna put now, and then on the other side, you're gonna put future. All righty. Now, let me think of a particular. Okay, let's use a dating coach. For example, okay, a Christian dating coach. Ooh, this one should probably be really good. Okay, I know none of us are dating coaches, so I'm using someone that is not in this community. All right, so the now is, what is this person feeling right now? What are some of the things that they might be feeling right now? The client of a Christian dating coach. So the client might be, it could be male or it could be female, but clearly it's somebody who is looking to be in partnership and maybe married to somebody. So what is that person feeling? What would the potential client be feeling? Frustrated, maybe feeling unseen. Maybe they're having feelings that, they're not attractive. Maybe they are feeling that their life is a mess, therefore people see them as a mess. Maybe they are feeling overwhelmed and stressed because maybe they're on a bunch of dating apps and it's not working out. Maybe they're feeling isolated and that nobody understands how they're feeling. Maybe they are feeling judged because I should be married by now, I should have children by now, and I don't. Maybe they are feeling like they have possibly stepped outside of God's will at some point and they don't know where, and they're mad at God. And I'm just throwing these things out there. Maybe they're feeling all these types of ways. Okay. So on that first side, I really want you to think about what your client could be feeling. Now, let me give you guys some like other questions you can ask about your client. All right. So what are they feeling? What are they avoiding? What types of things are your clients avoiding? So in the scenario of the dating coach, maybe they are avoiding going on dates and they're sabotaging. Maybe they're avoiding being in situations where the potential to meet somebody is there because they've been disappointed in the past. And I'm just using these for an example, but what are the things that your potential client, what are they avoiding? Okay. In their life, the life of your client, who else is impacted by what they are going through? Now, again, using the dating as an example, maybe the client is, divorced and, they're looking to get back in the game. Maybe they already have children and maybe it's their children that are impacted by how they feel. Maybe it is the people, their best friends or their parents. Maybe they have parents that, really feel for their son or daughter and they are impacted by this. Who else is impacted by your client's behaviors? All right. What are they experiencing? What types of things are they experiencing? This person might be financially a mess because like they're paying for the apps and they're paying for the subscriptions and they're paying to go on dates and they're paying for, I gotta buy new clothes and the world says I need to look like this, or maybe I need to go to the MAC counter and get makeup. Y'all know how I feel about all that, but what what types of things are they experiencing? So in their finances, in their health and wellness, like really break these things down. Now, I will say all Stu McLaren did was tell me to write the T. These are questions that I'm thinking of. Okay. I just want to be clear about that. Okay. I'm not stealing his stuff, but these are questions that I was thinking. All righty. This is a good question. What is your client fearful of missing out on? Now, let me go to my notes real quickly. So Coach Dom had a room on LinkedIn, and we know, okay, here we go. So I started taking notes because he had a sales and marketing coach on this week. And I was like, yes, let's hear what he has to say. And he really didn't say anything that I didn't know, but I want to share with you what he said. He said 7 things that make people say yes to working with you. And I'm coming back to more questions, but I wanted to pause. He said that people, and I'm only telling you this because I want you to think about this when you're identifying the cares and concerns of your client. He said that the things that make people say yes are things that are going to either save them time or create more time for them, save them money or create more money for them, give them good feelings. They are solutions to their problems. They address things that will put them in good health. They are things that will help them be better parents and impact their children positively. And they are things that also help them with and impact their pets. Now, I got up on stage and I said, I never considered pets, but I get it because I'm not wearing it right now, but my Apple Watch is nonstop going off with that ring about people and their pets. Lost dog, or whose dog is this, or missing cat, or found this cat, or like nonstop. So people care about their pets. But his list was very general, but he's right. Like generally, those are things people think about. So when you're thinking about your client, what are the things that you know will help them either save or make time, save or make money, give them good feels? There are other things that for me personally, my client is more interested in, but it's a great list. It's a great things to go by. So what are your clients, what are the things that they are missing out in life? Now, I know not everybody is coaching right now. Some right now are in this season of, listening and seeking, but it's going to be very helpful. Some of you, even if you are not working with clients per se, you are building audiences. So I want you to see how these questions can be transferable. And welcome, Coach Julie. Glad you were able to make it in. I don't know why you were having so much trouble getting in. Okay. So what are they missing out on? The next one is, what are the ripple effects of what they're going through? So for instance, in the case of our client who needs a dating coach, maybe now their job is suffering because they're anxious about, dang, I need a man. I can't even work because I need a man. So I know somewhere somebody has said that. Their job is suffering because the internet police at work done discovered that they're on Bumble, they're on Tinder, they're on Match.com, they're on eHarmony all day when they're supposed to be working. Wait a minute, let me ask a question. Does anybody here follow Noodles the Pooch on Instagram? Jesus. What if Noodles was on a date? Listen, you guys have got to follow Noodles the Poodle. My Lord. This little dog. Well, I don't have a dog. the way my life is set up, I can't have a pet. So I live vicariously through Noodles being my pet, but I also don't work a 9 to 5 anymore. So like Noodles is helping me live a lot of things vicariously right now. Follow Noodles the Pooch on Instagram, okay? It's a poodle, so funny. But what are the ripple effects? I'm sorry, that's where I was. The ripple effects of, what your client is experiencing. Because these are things you want to talk about. So do you remember, it's probably been a couple months ago when I went to Costco and I did a post about having a moment of anxiety when I got to the checkout, and it was like 400 and something dollars. And but then going into my whole post about why was I tripping over $400? Because Lord knows I done spent like 2 and 3 times, like 4 times as much at Costco on a food run. Okay. But why did this 300, I think it was like $330 or something. Anyways, it's on the post, but it just made me so fearful. And I had this flood of single mom emotions about getting to the checkout counter and the card not having enough money. I didn't talk about this, y'all, but how many times was I in the checkout counter, like still checking the balance? I will still do that, you guys, knowing that I've got plenty of money in the bank. It is like some old PTSD stuff from being single broke mom. And so anyways, I shared that post. The post is one of the analytics are always telling me that was one of the, that post was the most viewed and interactions and all of that. But I know just from my own experience that post also got me the most back channels. I'm just going to use that term, but private messages about you spoke directly to me. Most of the people that left me a private message never gave me an interaction on the post, but they left me a message. You know why? Because on LinkedIn, everybody can see all your business. But I spoke to something that is so real. And there was a whole lot of, oh my goodness, your post triggered me. I wasn't expecting to like go back there, but I know how I remember that feeling. And of course there was a lot of, thank goodness we're beyond that, but that's how we really make those connections with people. Speak the language, speak the real language, not the you need to, and I've got your solution, but talk about what they are experiencing. Okay. I got a couple more for you. Oh, okay. So when I mentioned the ripple effects, what are the ripple effects? What is it doing to their body? Okay. What is it doing to their body? Listen, ladies, what does stress do to the body? Right? I mean, and to a degree, we could talk about that. To whatever degree you feel is appropriate. Like, get real. What is it doing to your sleep? And when was it when I was talking about, oh, I need a menopause coach. Y'all, I need a menopause coach. Like, I'm not going through it yet, but I am one day. It's coming soon because I had the realization. I had the realization that, y'all, I am almost 50. I cannot believe I'm almost 50. I am pushing 50. I mean, I still got several years, but I'm like, the realization came and I was like, I need like somebody I could talk to about some things. Like, my mom's not here anymore. I'm just like, oh my goodness. But anyways, I say that to say, like, listen, I shouldn't have to Google, but I Googled stuff and I found out that your sleep is disturbed. Is that why maybe every now and again I get up in the middle of the night and I'm like, dang, Jesus, you're trying to talk to me, but you're not saying nothing, Lord. I think that's what we're supposed to do, but it ain't working, Lord, right? Like it's some stuff, right? So I say that, I digress. But okay, what is your clients? How are their sleep habits? How are their sleep habits interrupted because of whatever they are going through? Relationships. What are their relationships? How are their relationships suffering? Oh, hot flashes. Listen, I'm in denial about that because I'm in Ohio and it can snow in April. Okay. Has it snowed? Yeah, it snowed last week. it snows in April here. So when I get hot, because really want to be down in Florida, I'm just like, all right, Lord, you taking me to the beach. Let's go. I don't get them a lot, but they're not a problem for me. Yeah, it's not a problem. I'm not like, is it anybody else open a window? I'm not there. But yeah, I get the moments where I'm like, oh, warm. Oh, but I think it's just me. Yeah. Okay, so relationships. What is your client experiencing, or the person that you're ministering to experiencing? And the reason why I'm saying ministering to, because I talk to a lot of people in church and I'm like, girl, I get it. And they're surprised. First of all, I'm in church, but they're surprised when I say like some real stuff about like especially like being in the 20-year-olds that I talk to, single with children, and I go there like, I know. And they're like, oh, we're in church, but listen, I'm being real with you. They want to hear that. That's how you build a connection. How is it, because we're all like kingdom-based, faith-based, even if we don't say it, but how is it impacting their spiritual walk? Let's talk about that. Now, the goal isn't to get the ouch. The goal isn't to get oh, you are coming all down my lane. Like, the goal is not to get the reaction, but the goal is to really have them to consider and be more self-reflective than anything. I know I say a lot of things and I get a lot of reactions. And sometimes I feel bad. I think that's why I'm always like, I'm sorry, but you know I love you, but I'm going to say it anyways. But I love you. But the goal isn't for the reaction. The goal is really for them to make that transformation. Okay. So I said sleep habits and I said body, but how is it impacting their rest? Their rest. I was on a call with Coach Kenya earlier today. And I told her, I said, you know what? For years, I've been saying, I'm going to be off in the summer. And I am somebody's client somewhere. Can they help me figure out how to be off in the summer? I'm going to be off in the summer. Like that's why I quit my job, so I could be with my children in the summer. Not really, but you know what I mean? Rest. How can your client achieve rest? What do you know about how their rest is impacted? All right. Finances, talked about that a little bit. For those of you that have people in your circle of influence that you cover, let's just say, that are in business, because I know not all of you all are business, like you're not business coaches, but some of the people that you're with happen to have businesses. How is whatever it is they're going through, how is it impacting their business? Okay. And then their parenting. Do you remember when he said that 7 things that make them say yes are children? So they're parenting. Now, I'm not a pet mom, but I am a plant mom. Some of us care about our plants. Like for me, the fact that mine are slowly dying over there. We need to have a revival in this house, okay? And then the last thing I put on my notes is for those of us that do work with people who are in the ministry space, how is whatever it is they're dealing with impacting their ability to serve? So when I was a personal trainer, I did used to work with some people that were in ministry, and I used to always tell them that, you know what, come on, one of the motivators were like, look, it takes a lot of energy to do deliverance. Your body got to be right. Right, Coach Kim, aren't you glad that you run like you do? You having that endurance has come in handy, right? I know it has. Our bodies have to be there. So that was one of the motivators I used to, hey, you can't be out of breath trying to slay a demon. Come on. And this is so funny. Joyce Myers, oh my goodness. I don't really watch her or listen to her anymore. Not for any reason, not for any bad reason, but I just don't anymore. But I was like a Joyce Meyer junkie for years and years and years. And I remember there was a particular talk or sermon or whatever that she gave, and she would always be like, how do you think you are going to slay a demon, but you can't slay them dishes in the sink? Every time we come over to your house for prayer, it's always a mess, but you over here gonna slay a demon. When she said that, she's so true. But it's not just the dishes being a mess. It's you can't, listen, you can't overcome your sugar addiction, but you're going to cast out some demons. Right? Listen, I'm preaching to the choir too. I'm doing so much better though. I drink my tea with no sugar now. So I'm doing good. But anyways, how are, they impacted by that? So how the language that we use really impacts how we connect. And so you'll see the gurus, and I know how I feel about that word guru, but you'll see the gurus on social media saying, oh, you got to talk to your audience. And they'll say it, talk to your audience, speak their language, but they don't tell you exactly how to find out what their language is. And I have discovered, this is through my what I've been doing as of recently, and thank you, Stu McLaren, for the visual of the T. On one side, you're writing down what they're feeling. On the other side, you want to write down how you want for them to feel. So really, it's the opposite. So if your client is feeling stressed, now you want for them to be in a relaxed state. If your client, you know what, and I wrote some down, so hold on, let me give you guys some examples. So if they're feeling overwhelmed, now you want for them to feel calm and peace. If they're feeling anxious, now you want for them to feel, organized or have clarity about something. If they're feeling like they're all by themselves, now you want for them to feel like they're supported and they have community. So on one side, you're writing down where they are now, and the next side is where they will be in the future after having worked with you, after having had a consultation, going through your program, getting into your community, et cetera, et cetera. So I think I gave this to somebody, but we are taking them from, it was Coach T. Coach T, you and I talked about this a little bit, didn't we? I think we did. Maybe we didn't. I talked about this with somebody. But look at your two lists that you have, okay? And I really want you to write down all the things that they're feeling and all the ways that you want them to feel after having worked with you or talked with you. And you take those top few. Okay. And so and this is for preparation for our pitch. Okay. And so you want to talk about who you serve. I take executive women who are having difficulty in the dating world. I take them from feeling frustrated, stuck, and isolated to feeling at peace with clarity and supported. And I'm just using those. But your top 3 things that you feel, and remember, most likely you are your audience. So those top 3 things that really resonate with you are most likely the ones that you can use. So I take them from feeling XYZ I take them from feeling ABC to XYZ. I'm telling you, this works. This works. And so now we're not me-centered. It is about them. And so that story from origin, remember last week when we talked about that, I said, get the details. You write these details down, because now when you are like, okay, it's time for me to write a post, or I've had this experience, how can I relate it to something, how can I make this relative to what my audience or what my client or what my customer might be feeling? And it really helps with the imagery, because remember, they want to be seen, they want to feel heard and valued. And the only way, especially on the online space, the digital space, if you're not talking with them one to one, the only way you can do that is to really paint the picture. And again, that post I did about Costco, that really painted a picture. Okay. So hold on, let me go back to my notes and make sure I covered everything for this evening for you all. Okay. Yeah, so I wrote this down. Let's see if I remember what I said because I didn't write any notes about it. I kind of just wrote this thing. Okay, so I said the enemy wants to have us going from how we think, how we feel, and what we do as a result. But the kingdom, like God wants for us to have a be, do, and have, come from a be, do, and have perspective. And so having that marketing language, I don't want to say that marketing language, but having that clarity on how to speak to your client is you being able to communicate in a kingdom way, a godly way, how this person can really identify in who God has created them to be. And now they will be able to do the things that He is calling them to do so that they can have the things that He says they can have, versus where the enemy and the world will have them just doing, staying stuck and not moving forward and living the life God said they can live because they're on this hamster wheel of doing. Okay. All righty. So let me see if anybody has any questions. And again, for those of you that are on YouTube, thank you so much for joining in to the sneak peek. We're going into the Q&A period right now, and stick around. But if it starts getting too personal, just know I'm cutting the stream off. So if anybody wants to, if there's any comments, any questions, or any concerns, please go right ahead and come off mute, and we can go from there.
This is really good, Kel. I remember working with a coach. Oh gosh, we're in 2024 already, Lord. Probably 3 years ago. And she said, write down the feelings of your client. And I remember writing down what I did actually is in the DMs of my Facebook when I was following their script and stuff. I started writing down what I noticed most women would say to me, the adjectives they were describing themselves. So I still have that document, but it just reminded me the words that women use, especially when they feel unhealthy. I remember one woman saying to me that her husband called her fat because she was a baker, but he kept calling her fat. And I was like, he calls you fat? And she's like, yeah. I was like, wow. And another woman told me she feels gross. I mean, so these are really descriptive words. And I'm just wondering on LinkedIn, if I was to use some of those words, would people really respond to that? Because these are some deep words that women that I talk to are feeling when they're not feeling their best. Let's put it that way. When we know that they're dealing with some kind of dis-ease in their bodies. And most of the time, they don't want to tell anybody. They don't want anybody to know at work. And they're still working these long hours, and you're getting more tired, and you're getting out sick and having to deal with the doctor, the kids, and all that other stuff. So I'm just curious, if I use some of those words, would that be something that would be engaging in a conversation, or would people go to the messages and say, hey, just like they did for you?
Well, what is the point? What would be the point of first, I'm asking, what would be the point of a post where you would use the word, let's just say gross? What do you want as a result of that? Do you want for them to engage, or what's the point?
Well, you said pick the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Top 4. So I'm going to go through that list just to see, because I'm sure there's other words that just happened to come to my brain. And when women are dealing with a chronic condition, whether it's autoimmune, cancer, hypertension, obesity, they tend to use words like that, I noticed. Which is another reason why I don't hang in those groups, because I feel this heaviness because they're describing what they're feeling right now. So the whole idea I'm thinking is to take them from that to bring them on the other side of victory in their health and
Well,
to
let me
use words to describe that.
Okay, so you didn't really answer the question. So
I
I'm
probably
asking,
didn't. Yeah.
what is your, why would you use, so what do you want for them? Do you want to have a conversation, either on the feed, or do you want for them to connect with you so that you can now work with them? Like, what would be your point?
My point would be more for conversation so I can help them.
Okay. And so that could happen in the DMs. So I'm gonna tell you what I'm sensing. You're uncomfortable with the word gross. Have you ever, when you were going through what you were going through, is that a word that would describe how you felt?
There were times I've used that word, but not as much as I've seen other women use it. I was more miserable, frustrated, I felt ugly, you know.
So this is this is good. So I think so some of the language and some of the feelings that our customers and our clients and the people that we serve, some of the language that they would use to describe how they're feeling, might make us uncomfortable. But if that's how they feel, and especially to your point about hearing it several times, that must be pretty common in the population that you serve. So why avoid addressing it? And if they choose to engage, and let's just use LinkedIn for instance, because again, we know that on LinkedIn, everybody can see what they're saying. If they choose to engage in a conversation on LinkedIn in the feed, then kudos to them for having the courage to come forth and admit that. But if they choose to send you a message and say, oh my goodness, your post really resonated with me. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's exactly how I felt. Now it puts the ball in your court. And now you have an opportunity to say, oh my goodness, yes, hey, let me know if you want to schedule a call, if this is how you are feeling. I've worked with people that have said that before. And there's even been a time where I felt that. Like, I don't think that if I don't feel that it's an obscene word. I don't feel that it's, an obscene word or anything. And I'm just thinking about the word gross. But
Yeah.
there are going to be some words that, some truths that as we explore how our client is feeling about things, we might discover that we might still be feeling some of those things. And it may even trigger us. And so, it makes me very curious that you're questioning if that's something that you could use or should use. It just makes me curious. Pray into that, because if that's how they feel, I don't see why it should be avoided. And I mean, it's not like you're saying, are you gross? Do you feel gross? Has anybody called you gross? It's not like you're saying that. You might just, you might say, hey, I remember a time, or speaking with a group of women, or hearing, words like gross or fat thrown out, and knowing how they made me feel as I battled this and worked hard to overcome, this dis-ease. And, just, it doesn't have to be, do you feel this way? It doesn't have, you don't have to pose that question. Just, I remember a time when, and use the language that they are using, because maybe people aren't calling them gross, but maybe they're calling themselves gross.
Yeah, that's what I found. A lot of them were calling themselves these words and not expressing it to the person they loved, or the person they loved were calling them these words.
So you all put this down on your list of questions. What type of self-talk do they have about their situation?
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird to say, our marketing shouldn't be so me focused. But I guess what I'm saying is we don't always need to show up as I'm who you need. Let me tell you what I can do for you. We really want to let them know how we can relate to what they're going through, or how we've worked with people who, in the past that have similarities, and how we have experience with people who have felt X, Y, and Z, and how, quick little, so, X, Y, and Z was moved, we're able to now achieve this result because we made these little tweaks, and what the tweaks are. You know what I'm saying? Moving from a self-centered, I am what you need, to let me share my experience with you because I can support. And let me just pause and say this also. Our showing up on the online space, or even in person, and sharing our experiences or experiences of people that we've worked with, and using that language that they can relate to. Be okay if it doesn't result in you working with them. Be okay if it means you are now connecting them with somebody else. Or be okay with identifying, oh, I heard other stuff that they were saying, and really, I'm not the one for them. Be okay with that. Be okay with them not needing a coach, but needing a counselor or a therapist. Be okay with that. Okay. All right. Thanks, Coach T. Anybody else have any questions, comments, or concerns?
I wouldn't say question or concern, but just thinking about, my 9 to 9 hat, no, my full-time job, is organizational. And so what you're talking about, and I can't remember the author, but one author is, he wrote about Story Brand. And as an organization, we always have to focus on or talk about the people that we serve as the hero. So the organization is not the hero. And so to kind of bridge the gap, right? You're saying that we as coaches, service providers, we're not the hero. It is the lives that are impacted, and how they sought what they needed, got what they needed to make the transition. It happens, right, that we are the service that helped them make the transition. And so that was kind of the parallel that I drew, and listening to Coach T, is that sometimes it's not even about how they see themselves at that moment. So really talking about someone, I'm so proud of my client, who shared with me in the beginning how gross she felt, right? So it's really not about people having to immediately say, yeah, do I feel like that? Or you, Coach T, in this example, saying, like, do you feel gross? It is really someone resonating with a story and identifying that person as the hero or the shero, in this case, and then their heroic transformation is because of their work with Coach T. I hope that made some kind of sense.
It does. And that book is Story Brand, Donald Miller. Yeah, very popular book about how we can use our story to, I'm just going to say, sell ourselves, not just our business, but sell ourselves. Absolutely right. Yes, the hero is our client. The hero is the person that overcame. And the cherry on top is the fact that you were the one that got to work with them to facilitate that transformation, and your reader, your audience will see that in the copy or whatever you say. Yeah. Coach Kim, was this at all helpful because you early on, you talked about your show up being, this, interesting how I have to show up now, but is this at all helpful in you seeing how all these different elements, including the finances, with the moms that are now, I don't want to say are now in your audience, but your audience, is this helpful at all, this exercise?
Okay. I'm gonna say it's a lot. It's a lot. However, um, I think that the way that you broke it down for me, it's a good guide. So now I can go answer the questions and the now and then the solution. So I think for that part, though it was a lot, it's a good guide because that just works for me. Everybody has their own learning thing. That just works for me. So now it's almost like now I can just plug in the answers and then develop from there.
Yeah, also all these questions are things that God was giving me. Like, except for well, no, all of these, because I did it even before I got the T. So, like I started, especially the what are they avoiding? And I just was like, dang, I mean, it's a lot. What are they experiencing? What, like, who's impacted, and how does this impact their show up in church? And all the things that are really important to and I'm thinking about my client, like everything that's really important to them. How can they be their best them? What are all the possible things stopping them from being the them that God created? And I had to think about that for myself as well. And so, yes, Coach Cam, there are lots of questions to answer, but by answering them, this is like, I saw your hand was up. One quick second. Remember in the beginning, I was like, most people are not willing to do the necessary work to get that desired result. This is one of those things. Because again, the gurus are going to be like, oh, you got to know what they're feeling, know what they're going through. And they don't really break it down and get, especially if you were your client, you're just like, I know I was feeling this, and this, and now I'm not. And you really aren't, maybe you really haven't considered, okay, how did this impact my children? How did this impact, the team that I was a part of at church? How did this impact my job? Like, how was my work performance at work like impacted by how I was feeling? Like these aren't things that we just deal with it. We don't really sit down and write it out and think about it. So this is really putting structure to it. But once you do this, you've got the language, and now you can it's almost like, I don't say you can put it on repeat, but it just becomes, you've got this list of words. I mean, it's a bank for you. You've got the word list, like where they are and what they're feeling and where we want to take them to. So as you come up with content ideas, you're able to use words from these banks to now create this copy. And you can use as many words as you want so that they can really get the visual and the image that, oh my goodness, she gets me. Okay, go ahead, Coach Kim.
I was thinking, but I think, okay, this is what I was thinking. I put a post out today and I was thinking about it. And even when I put the post out, I could feel the trigger within me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh. And so sometimes I think about that part right there, what is somebody else that I put something out there? And I know I cannot cover all of my words, but what is that? It's not that I'm trying to purposely bring up, but it's my reality. And I'm sure that it's some other people's, maybe they're now, that they might be in. So I think I'm trying to be careful with that also.
Yeah, I get that, and I absolutely respect that. And I'm going to say something that it's interesting that a lot of what we feel and we think we might be putting out there based off of how we feel, other people can't see that. So you might be triggered by what you're saying, and you're so cautious that other people are triggered, and they probably are, but they also feel, oh my goodness, this is somebody that knows exactly what I'm going through. Now, let me see what else she's talking about because she knows what I'm going through. One of the things, Coach Kim, that I try to say often is that I am still a work in progress when it comes to a lot of things. And I acknowledge when, man, this messed me up and I feel like I should be over this. Like, I'm very okay with that because I'm human and I'm still a work in progress. We are all still a work in progress. And one of the things that I used to also say was that, the day that I made it is the day that I can die, because I feel like as long as God gives me breath in my lungs, I'm still, there's still a perfecting work that he is doing in me. And so, something, and if it is like triggering you to the point where you're like, oh my goodness, this is not going, then by all means, no, your mental health and, and take that to the Lord with whatever has got you so triggered that, and I say this very respectfully, but if it's got you to the place where, you're so triggered by it that you aren't able to help somebody else, then that's an area that still needs to be dealt with. And I say that very respectfully. Like if you sometimes you still are like, yeah, dang, I'm still kind of dealing with that, but I can help you. Now I need to follow my own advice, but I can still help you. Sometimes it's like that. But if it's to the point where you're like, oh, I can't even talk about it. I can't talk about it. Then that's something that needs to be dealt with on a personal level. But many of us, and when you were talking about you try to be careful about what you put out there for others because you're concerned about them. I think about like just the showing up fact, like a lot of people might be nervous or scared or feel like there's competition, and people don't know that, how you're feeling about putting something out there, that you're terrified to put out a post because you're terrified to go live. Like people don't know that. They don't know that. You know that, but they don't know that. So, okay. All right. Anybody else want to say anything? And thank you, Coach Stacy, very much. I don't think I thank you. I did say you have to be a part of our community to see what's happening in the chat, but I'm going to read this. And then I guess I'll take a volunteer to pray us on out if there's any, once we're all done with final thoughts. But Coach Kenya said that we want to take them from a negative trigger response to a healthy trigger response. Yes. Yes. And just like Coach Stacy was saying with Donna Miller's book that talks about the client or the customer, the audience being the hero, we want to show them how they can be the hero, how they can how they can see the victory. They're already in victory, but it's our job to help them see that. Okay. All right. Anybody have any final thoughts, comments? I hope this was helpful for you all. Yes, this will take some work. Hold on one quick second, Coach Louita. This is going to take some work. This is going to take some intentionality and some thought. This is going to take some time. Not too much time. You won't take too much time because now you stalling, and I might have to come for you. Okay. But this is going to take, and it might take some prayer. Jesus, it might take some fasting. I don't know. But it's going to be helpful for us to be able to really relate to the people that we're called to. When I tell you it works, because this is what I feel too. Like this year, God is, he's saying things are going to be happening quickly. And what can we do to, he don't need our help, but doing our part, what is our part in this expeditious turnaround? What is our part? Our part is knowing exactly how to talk directly to them so that we can help them get what they need so that they can go out and impact who they need to impact. Alrighty. Yes, the book is called Story Brand by Donald Miller. And it's quite a few years old, but everybody still talks about it. It's still making the circuit.
And I think the arc is if you just Google like the arc of the story, because he may or may not talk specifically about who the hero is. And if he doesn't, if you just Google like the arc of a storyline, it kind of goes through this whole thing about the hero and the, not the villain, but it has all of these different phases in a circle. I'll look it up and post it in the community.
Thank you so much. Love our community. Thank you, Coach Stacy. Go ahead. I think it was you, Coach Louita, that want to go ahead.
So I wanted to share that this was really good because I shared earlier that I was by myself, selling, and I found myself like the cops were like one of my first customers, and they came over and I was talking about the juice, and he ended up like purchasing the beet juice, and I was telling him, I think he said something and it triggered me, and I said, well, the reason I got into this is because I juice myself healthy. And so after I became healthy, God placed it up on me to make sure that I set other people free. So I told him a little bit about my story, and he was so engaged, so I seen that it works like verbatim, and I was telling people, like we get up, and even telling people that we get up at 3 a.m. just to make the juice so that you guys can have this juice fresh. So it has its full 5 days for you. Like those things, all those things was like connecting with them. Like they were like, oh my God, thank you. And a lady even gave me a tip, like, here's a tip. I was like, oh, I need to put a tip jar out here, so. Okay, but the point to the story is just having it and engaging. Like the first Saturday was cool, but last Saturday was like, this is why I do this. You know what I'm saying? This is why I'm tired and get up at 3 a.m. Like this is all worth it. So I think it's a reward in it. And I know I'm one of those people that looks for the reward because I work with people who have special needs, so there's a reward in it. So I think that gives me the why. Yeah, I have my own why of personal reasons, but I could just be like, you know what, I'm gonna do it for me and my family and I'm moving on. But the why, when I see people say the light bulb come on, when I say, I had this, or my mom was diabetic and now she's off her medicine, and the different stories that I'm able to share that's not even customers, but just my family, just myself. And so people were just like lit up, like, really? Oh, and are you going to be here next Saturday? We'll be here all season, so it just opened doors. So it's definitely truth to that. But these questions are questions that even with me being a product-based business, I'm like, oh, well, how do they feel? Like I'm like, do you? So I'm listening to that because I'm back on social media. So those are things that I can post about my own self, snippets of my family stories and other snippets that I can post about, setting other people free. So I think this was really good, Kelly.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I know you weren't here last week, but I one of the things I
listened
said
to the replay. I'm very
okay. Okay. So yeah, so you heard me then say, like, for the first time, like she was asking me all those questions. And for the first time, I was like, I didn't feel like I was talking too much because I love entrepreneurship and talking about it. But for the first time ever, I didn't feel like I was talking too much about myself because she was so intrigued with every little detail. Because listen, every little detail about our story, it matters. No matter how insignificant we think it is, it matters. It matters. I shared with her about the floors in my store. I don't talk about the floors, but how I made the floors with the I don't know if I shared this last week, but I used contractor paper and I tore them in like 12 by 12 squares. And I just used Elmer's glue on the floor and then put, what is it called? What is it called that you put on the hardwood floors? I should know this, that shellac stuff.
shellac.
Yeah, I did the floors, four times I did them, and that I wanted my logo in the floors. So I bought, from online, I bought craft paper that I could run through the printer and did my logo. And it was a sticker, like that sticker paper that you can print on. And it was made out of craft paper. So it looked like the brown paper bags. And it was my logo. And I put that on all around the floors. So my logo was in the floors. It was a huge, and she was just like, tell me more. And you built the shelves by yourself. I told her how I went to Home Depot and nobody had a clue what I was talking about. So I said, give me these pipes, give me this wood. I'll figure it out. And I did. And she was just so engaged. And then she started asking me more questions about other things. And before I knew it, she's like, yes, let's do this for you. And she wanted to help me. Like, so every detail matters. Every detail
That's
matters.
so God though. That's God that sent that. Because I had a man like picks up a youth and brings them around and takes them places. And for whatever reason, he had those children come and ask me about entrepreneurship. And at the time, Tiffany was there, and she was like, "Friend, you wasn't like uncomfortable with him talking to you about?" And I was like, "No, I was very like they were asking really good questions. I was actually, astonished because it's young people, they don't care about number video games, but these children was really like." So how did you get here? And they were really, like you said, intrigued. And so it intrigued me like, oh, well, it was, and you just become so open about it because somebody's excited about something that you're excited about. So that's a blessing in itself. It's absolutely God. God sends those people because he's telling you that I thumbs up. I want you to do what you're doing. I want you to know that you need to be doing what you're doing. Good job. I think it's a hand clap from God when people do that. Because it can be a lonely walk at times where you feel like, you don't have anybody. So just having those experiences are a blessing. Amen.
Yeah, every single thing matters, no matter none of it is insignificant. And yeah, every detail. I did share with her last week that there's more, the story starts way before the entrepreneurship with, but I didn't go into like the story about my mom and things like that. But every detail, everything that we have gone through, it brings us to where we are today. And people absolutely are much more interested, not for the sake of being nosy, but for the sake of knowing that you can support them in whatever that looks like. So thanks for that, Coach Louita. All righty. So we are going to go on and close out. It's late again. I apologize, guys. But next week we're talking pitch, okay? So we're going to be discussing what goes into it, what it looks like. I know D. LaShawn, who had to pop off, she is very versed in this. Maybe I can get her to help. And we'll talk about that, and then we'll go into practicing if we can next week, but definitely the following week, okay? Is there anybody that would like to pray us on out? And if not, no worries, I will. But I do want to thank those that were able to watch this on YouTube, those that are in the community catching this on replay, but those that, took advantage of the sneak peek of what we talk about in our focus sessions. We talk about much more, and sometimes it's way more prophetic and prayerful and all the things, but this is the gist of it. And so I'm excited that we've got this impeccable impact community available to kingdom focused and kingdom driven women looking to just learn how they can be supported in just life, not just business, but every area of your life. So I'll pray us on out, and then I'll end the stream, the video, and I'm going to text. I got your text message. You know who I'm talking to. I'm going to call you. Okay. I'll call you. And then we'll meet. What's next? I'm praying tomorrow morning, and then we'll meet on Thursday for the training on Thursday, which is another powerful, great opportunity for those of you that are able to catch those replays as well. Okay. All right. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this evening. I thank you, God, for your love. I thank you, God, just for how you use this content tonight, God, to heal. And although not everybody has done the exercise yet, God, you're already doing the healing. And so, God, I thank you that as your daughters explore how to communicate effectively to their audiences and the people that they serve, God, that you are yet doing a beautiful and a mighty work in them. God, just continue to fill us with your presence, your love, your grace, and just have your way in our lives and everything we put our hands to. Bless every household that's represented here, God. And even those that are watching via YouTube, God, bless them as well. Have your way in their lives, God, in their endeavors, God, and give them the words to say to connect and have influence and impact with those that you have called to them, God. So, Father, we just honor you. We praise you, give you all the glory. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, everybody, have a fabulous evening. Bye, guys.
Is there co-working session tomorrow?
Oh, thank you for reminding me. Yes, there is 9 a.m. All right. Thank you. I didn't put the post out, but I'll put the post out and I will put the link, okay, for the co-working session for those of you that can join. All righty.